that down, let's move on to this. Now, it may already be January 3rd, but I wanted this year, every year we do a couple of lists at the end of the year. Most anticipated movies, worst movies of the year, and best films of the year. This year I decided instead of doing best films of the year first, I decided to do it last. So this is our final year-end list. We did most anticipated. We did a the potential $1 billion film list coming up in 2025. We did our worst films of 2024. Now we're going to do our best films of 2025. Or 2024, I should say. Now, before I dive into my list, I want to make two things very clear. Number one, for those of you who follow me, I rank things a little bit differently. To me, movies are experiential events. That's what movies are. They're experiences. And so I judge movies a little bit differently than some people. To me, I rank movies and judge movies based on the experience they give me, whether they made me feel fear or laughter or thought and pondering and conflict or joy or laughter or excitement. Like, I walk out of a theater and the movies that make a real impression on me are the ones that give me an experience. So my list of what I consider to be the best 10 films of the year are going to look different than a lot of other online pundits and film critics and stuff like that, because listen, artistic merit is great. But if you have all the artistic merit in the world in a movie, but it doesn't deliver an experience, then it doesn't hit home for me. Not that they're mutually exclusive. Sometimes great artistic merit can lead to a great experience. But the second thing I want to point out is this. I still haven't had a chance to see A Complete Unknown. So A Complete Unknown, the new Timothée Chalamet movie, is not going to be on my list. It is not going to fail to be on my list because I didn't like it. It's just not on my list because that's the one film that I didn't have a chance to see yet. So with those two asterisks now down and out of the way, let's get into it, shall we? Starting at number 10 for me, one of the big flops of the year, Furiosa. I loved this film. Now, did I think it was as good as Mad Max Fury Road? No, not quite as good as Mad Max Fury Road, but it was its own film at the same time. It was thrilling. George Miller, doing all the practical stuff. You could tell when he was using CGI and when he was using practical. And one of the most bonkers, oh my God, what is that? Endings at the end of it with the tree. If you know, you know. I thought the performances were great. I loved Chris Hemsworth in this. I really did. And Anya Taylor-Joy just kind of proved again, this is her world and we're just living in it. I could not believe, even to this day, I can't believe how bad it did at the box office. I mean, another film right around its ilk that I also love, Fall Guy, came out right around the same time. And those two films are really good and they really tanked. But whatever, don't care if they tanked or not. I loved Furiosa. So it is my number 10 best film of the year. All right. Moving on to number 9. This was a movie that I was excited about strictly based on its filmmaker. I didn't know if it was going to be a good concept or not, but I love Jason Reitman, and I'm so glad that Saturday Night did not disappoint. I loved this movie. Now, partially because at different periods of my life, I've been watching Saturday Night Live my whole life. I mean, there have been stretches of a couple of years where I never watched, and I'd watch for a while, then not watch, but it's always been there. Weekend Update has always been one of my favorite, whether it's Dennis Miller or Chevy Chase, or now you've got Michael Che and Colin Jost, who are so good at it. By the way, their annual thing where they write each other's jokes is still one of the best things on the internet. If you haven't seen it yet, go look it up. Anyway, the movie, if you haven't seen it, and according to the box office, a lot of you haven't seen it, it just chronicles the 90 minutes leading up to the first broadcast of Saturday Night Live ever, and all the drama and all the chaos that was going on behind the scenes to get it going. And the casting is perfect. The casting was absolutely perfect for it. I loved it. Jason Reitman continues to be one of my favorite directors in the world. I love this guy. So for me at number 9, I've got Saturday Night. Okay, let's move on to number 3. This is one of my biggest surprise ones of the year. Because frankly, I didn't even think they should make this movie. I said this is a dead franchise. There's no point in going back to it. But Prey was pretty good, so maybe Alien Romulus would work out all right. And again, I loved this movie. I can't believe, it's definitely the best Alien movie since Aliens. Like the first two Alien films always will be the standard, but out of all the Alien related films that have come out since with this franchise, I think this is the best one. So like the best Alien film in decades. It was thrilling. I liked the characters. The monsters were terrifying. I liked the little flashback or the callbacks to characters from the previous movies. And one of my biggest what the fuck moments of this year was with the engineer baby thing at the end. Ray, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That thing.
They have a name for it too. I just forgot.
Yeah, I can't remember what the name for it is either.
I don't want to Google it.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that's nightmare fuel.
When this thing came on, like screen in the third act of the film, I'm like, oh, is that what they call it? The offspring? Anyway. Somebody in the live chat, Nick Schmidt in the live chat is saying they call it the offspring.
It's the type of thing where you actually start cheering for it because you're scared to death.
Yeah, just win.
just
do win. Again, as good as the two classic Alien films? No, not necessarily. No, but my God, I loved Alien Romulus. It created that experience. I came out of the theater just like hopped up. I loved it. So for me, Alien Romulus is my number 8 favorite film of the year. All right. You know what? I said Alien might have been my biggest surprise. Might not have been. My number 7 film might be my biggest surprise. Because this is a movie that, even though I was expecting good things from it, it's clearly not a movie for me. I was not the demographic. Never saw the stage play. Never intend on seeing the stage play. But I was blown away by Wicked. I was just shocked. It's kind of like the same feeling I had going to see Barbie. I'm like, I'm not the demographic for Barbie. I went to see Barbie. I was like, wow, this is wonderful. I had a great time. Wicked was great. The singing in it, Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande just kill it. It was legitimately emotional in scenes, the grand scape of it, and it was visually gorgeous. Absolutely visually gorgeous. John M. Chu is went from being a Justin Bieber, director. Music
video director, yeah.
Yeah, to, man, when he does something now, you got to pay attention. And I just love this film, and it's going to get nominated for Best Picture at the Academy Awards. I mean, that's kind of a foregone conclusion at this point. Mm-hmm. That Cynthia Erivo is going to get nominated. Ariana Grande is going to get nominated. It's going to win a lot of costuming and makeup and visual effects. It's going to get a lot of nominations. How many it wins, I don't know. And they're all well-deserved. This movie was truly special. Had a great time on it. The audiences loved it. Every time, when you're in a movie theater and you can feel the joy of everybody else in that theater, that tells you a movie's doing something right. Wicked did a lot of things right. So Wicked, for me, is my number 7 film. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, PrizePicks. Are you guys like me, both a movie and a sports fan? Well, if so, then you know that the playoffs are here and it's now or never. If you love football and want to add some real excitement to the games, let me tell you about PrizePicks, the best place for your daily fantasy sports. So here's how it works. It's super simple. You just pick more or less on player projections. Think Patrick Mahomes will throw more than 1.5 touchdowns this week, or maybe Lamar Jackson will get over 250 passing yards. Make your picks in less than a minute and take your shot at winning up to 1,000 times your cash. Ann and I have been having a blast using PrizePicks every weekend. It's simple, it's fun, and it just makes watching the games that much more exciting. Plus, PrizePicks puts you first. With easy, fast, secure withdrawals, you can get your winnings in as little as 15 minutes, and they make deposits even easier. And right now, if you sign up today, you get $50 instantly when you play just $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. So don't wait. Download the app today and use the code Campea to get $50 instantly after playing your first $5 lineup. That's right, play for just $5 and you get a $50 bonus instantly. PrizePicks, run your game. All right, let's move on to number 6. Number 6 is the first well, true sequel, I guess you could call in many ways, and that it has a number 2 in front of it. I had high expectations because I love the first one, and man, did it deliver. My number 6 favorite film of the year is Inside Out 2. I was absolutely floored. I think Inside Out, the first one, is one of the more truly underrated Pixar films. It's just so beautifully emotional and really touches on it's not just about kids, it's the human experience. It touches on so many parts of it and so many great things. Could they carry that over into Inside Out 2? Frankly, I had my doubts they could carry it over with that level of excellence, but they did it. They absolutely did it. And I was also a little bit nervous with them bringing in new emotions and stuff like that.
Same.
But when we got, what was the name of the orange one again?
Anxiety.
Anxiety ended up being just, it's hard to imagine that the first film didn't have her. Some of the new emotions were kind of underused and all that kind of stuff. Like the core group of emotions, always all used so great in the first movie and the second movie. Some of the new emotions in the second one were a little bit underused. But overall, by the time they got to it, I didn't think they could do something that would hit me as hard emotionally as the ending of Inside Out 2, when they realized Riley needed to feel sadness. I'm like, I just about broke down in theaters. They found a way to do that again with Anxiety. And you just, it was powerful. It was wonderful. Inside Out 2 is my number 6 favorite film of the year. All right, now we get into the top 5. In the top 5, another animated film. One that I think we all knew we were in for something special when we saw the first trailer for it, and it over-delivered. The Wild Robot. How such a simple premise, a little bit of a castaway story, if you will, and talking animals and whatever, you got all that kind of stuff. How they found a way to tell such a beautiful story. And a lot of the story is told from the perspective of parenting. Like this movie is as much made for people who are specifically parents, and jokes are crafted in it to appeal to parents and everything like that. That, like, you might think if you read it on a page that a mother, like, thinking that her child died and then hearing, I'm okay. And then the mom going, yay. Like you'd read that on a page and think, oh, that's terrible. But the way they play it out in the movie is like, and they just touch, and again, like Inside Out, it touches on the experiences we have as human beings. And I just thought it's a special movie. The Wild Robot is a special movie. And I actually believe it should be nominated for Best Picture of the Year. It won't, because the Academy are cowards when it comes to animated film. That's why they created a little kiddie table called Best Animated category to give themselves an excuse to not nominate animated films regularly for Best Picture. This is a movie that should be nominated for Best Picture. It won't be, but it is what it is. My number 6 favorite film of the year, The Wild Robot. All right. Now we get into our top 4. In number 4 is a movie that at CinemaCon I had not heard of. And then them playing a preview for it for us at CinemaCon made me go, this looks like it could be really good. And it might be time to change the title holder for the best actor in the world without an Academy Award, because this might get it for him. Conclave with Ralph Fiennes. I just thought it looked really good, and I was looking forward to seeing it. And then I heard a lot of the stuff coming out of the festival circus of like, oh, this movie's going to be nominated for Best Picture. This thing's incredible. Ralph Fiennes could win an Academy Award. And there could be supporting actor awards, Stanley Tucci, Jonathan Lithgow, on and on and on. The movie delivered on every bit of potential it had. I couldn't believe how good it was. And lest you think it just deals with like issues the church would face when trying to select a new pope, they make it like some very relatable moral dilemmas that, not the exact same, but in the same vein that we face all the time. And like, as you go through the movie and Ralph Fiennes continues to run into these ethical and moral questions and quandaries that are not just limited to spirituality or the church or anything. It's like I said, very relatable issues on a lot of levels. Like, what would I do in that situation? What is the right or the wrong thing to do? Is there a right and wrong thing to do here? I was glued to the screen. Experiment Films is saying it was surprisingly gripping. I think that's a great way to describe it. It's a gripping film. I couldn't take my eyes off screen the entire movie. I love this movie so much. I do think Ralph Fiennes should win Best Actor this year. I don't know if he will because there's a really strong group this year. But if I had a vote, Ralph Fiennes would get it this year for Conclave. So Conclave, ladies and gentlemen, ends up in the top 5 as my number 4 favorite movie of the year. All right. Now we get into the top 3. I'm going to tell you, 2 and 3 were really tough to order. They were. But I feel good. I feel good about it.
Okay.
All right. I feel good. So, my number 3 favorite movie of the year. Not a ton of people have seen it, but everybody in the world is talking about it. It's Anora. This is one of these movies that gets better every minute that passes. It starts off as one kind of film, like some people have kind of referred to it as a more dirty, what's the classic one with Richard Gere?
Pretty Woman?
Pretty Woman. As like a dirtier Pretty Woman, right? And I could see why. But this is this isn't a rom-com world they live in, right? So it starts off kind of as a salacious kind of thing, but then it becomes a movie that's about, commentary on classes, not school classes, like society classes and the position of money and what money does and how it determines how one can live their life and all that kind of stuff. And then truly emotional. And then you get really connected to this girl. And by the way, Anora in it is not your great, wonderful, high moral, perfect princess like Julia Roberts was in Pretty Woman. Now, she's a flawed character. But when you look at all the what she's had to deal with, what life has taught her about the world, and life has taught her that everything in life is transactional. And her trying to navigate, can I see a life beyond that? And the supporting characters, like even guys who are just like thugs in it at first, you think, become important characters in it. This is a engaging, thought-provoking, at times funny, sexy, like all that kind of stuff that the trailers kind of promise. It delivers. And it really became one of the most haunting movie experiences of me. Like, I remember when I saw it, and I was late to the game on Anora. Like, I saw it weeks after it came out. But it's one of those films that haunted me, and I just keep thinking about. Like, every couple of days, I think about a scene in the movie or a situation in the movie or something like that. Guys, if you haven't seen Anora, check it out. I think it's one of the best films of the year. I think it's got a shot at Best Picture. I think it has a legitimate shot at Best Picture this year. So my number 3 film of the year is Anora. All right. Now we get into my top 2. Now remember, my criteria at the beginning of this is I do movies differently than a lot of other people. To me, movies are experiential events, and it's what's the movie that delivers the experience. My number 2 movie of the year is Deadpool and Wolverine. And I make no fucking apologies for it. None. This movie had me cheering and laughing and gasping and experiencing the whole runtime of the movie. It just was a delight. It was a complete package of entertainment for me. Now, I'm totally Ryan Reynolds guy. Everybody knows that. But I mean, I can't believe how much of the promise they delivered on for this. It's just fantastic. It's a pure experiential event. And again, I have no problems with other people probably not having Deadpool and Wolverine on their top 10 because we all approach it with different criteria. But for me, it's the experience. And Ann and I went to go see this thing in theater like 5, 6, 7 times. I lost count. And every time it was just an amazing experience. We loved watching this movie. And isn't that what going to the movies is all about? And so for me, my number 2 best movie of the year, based on that criteria, for me is Deadpool. That brings us to number 1. There's no surprises here. I'm not going to pull a fast one or shock anybody. You all know it's going to be. Because I have all year said, this is not only the best film of the year, I personally think this is the best movie Hollywood has made in the last 10 years. and that is Dune Part 2. I couldn't imagine how Denis Villeneuve was going to exceed what he did in the first one, because I loved the first one. It was great. He made a movie that took everything that was good about the first one and doubled it, and even found a way to kind of downplay some of the weaker aspects of Dune Part 1. So they address some of the weaker points of Dune Part 1 and then double down on the strengths of it. And you know what? To me, there's a scene in Dune Part 2. You guys know what I'm talking about. The War Council scene, where they got tens of thousands of Fremen in that cave, and in comes walking Paul Atreides, and he just lays down the law. And it is one of the best. I mean, I think the only other scene I've seen in the most recent memory of a performance that struck me quite as much was Daniel Day-Lewis's Milkshake in There Will Be Blood. I think that scene in that War Council is Timothée Chalamet's version of that. I still put the Milkshake scene a little bit higher, but I mean, that's how good that was to me. Denis Villeneuve has taken mythology and lore and fantasy and sci-fi with great action and great drama and fabulous characters. And again, for me, it's not only the best movie of the year. To me, it's the best movie I've seen in the last 10 years. So, to recap, my personal 10 best films of the year are: at number 10, Furiosa Mad Max Saga. Number 9, Saturday Night. Number 8, Alien Romulus. Number 7, Wicked. Number 6, Inside Out 2. Number 5, The Wild Robot. Number 4, Conclave. Number 3, Anora. Number 2, Deadpool and Wolverine. And number 1 for me is Dune Part 2. And that is my list. So, with that down, I want to go over and ask Chris what her favorite movies of the year are. Chris has not told me her list. I'm going to hear it for the first time, just like you guys.
New. And just like John, I'm going with my gut. I'm going how I feel. And also, you all know I don't watch horror movies. So I know that you all are like, Nosferatu is incredible and beautiful. I will watch that in like 3 months.
I didn't put Nosferatu on my list.
And it's going to take like 3 hours for me to watch it.
I did see it, and I didn't put Nosferatu on my list. No?
I've heard a lot of good things, and I was like, that's not a movie that I can see in a theater if everyone else wants to have a good time. All right? I'm going to scream too much. Nor have I seen a lot of the prestige films. I haven't seen Anora yet. I'm getting my screeners, so I'm really excited. So I'll be able to watch everything. But had some overlap with you. I also had Saturday Night on mine, Wicked, Deadpool and Wolverine, Wild Robot, and Inside Out 2. Inside Out 2 might actually be my favorite film that came out this year.
Really?
I liked it more each time I saw it, and that's the movie that I kept talking about with people. And became such a good speaking point, and it helped me so much with my students, talking to them about anxiety, because I don't experience that feeling. That's not something that really happens to me. I experience embarrassment or anything like that, but I don't really have the overdrive of my brain's trying to protect me, and was really helpful to be able to communicate with people with that visual, and I loved that. That movie is so wonderful. On my list, this isn't surprising, and honestly, it probably is recency bias. Sonic 3 was so fun.
Yeah.
Sonic 3 was so fun. My theater was so fun. Everyone had such a good time. It was so cool to just see everything. Seeing Shadow, I loved it. I had such a blast watching it. Completely pivoting to something very different, We Live in Time. That movie.
Oh, you put that on your list?
Yeah.
Okay.
That movie wrecked me.
Wow.
That movie is beautiful and heartbreaking and lovely, and the chemistry that Andrew Garfield and Florence Pugh has is so tremendous. I highly recommend people watch it. Grab your tissues. Wolves was a surprise for me, and I loved that movie, and I was so disappointed that it wasn't released on the big screen. I thought that movie was so fun and clever, and I want more movies like that are so dialogue driven, character focused, environmentally situational, right? They had to work within their own parameters there. I thought everything about it was just so clever,
and
I
a
wish
great
we'd
win
make more
for
movies
John
like
Watts again. Like
incredible.
Like guys, I mean, John Watts, he did the 3 Tom Holland Spider-Man movies, including No Way Home. He's currently doing Skeleton Crew, which is amazing.
It's so good.
And he did Wolves. He's showing he can do a lot of great things. He's going to be a guy we need to watch for a long time.
Tremendous. So really enjoyed that. Another one, Superman, the Christopher Reeve story.
Right.
Yeah.
One.
So
you know what?
moving.
I at the end I decided, and you know what? Maybe it was wrong. Maybe it was the wrong decision. I decided not to put a documentary on it.
I was debating.
I decided to kind of make it more of a narrative movies thing. But hey,
Sure.
documentaries are movies. There's an argument to be made. I should have put it because it would have been on my list too. Maybe I'll change my mind about that next year.
Like just so powerfully done. And I knew it would be. It was so lovely. And then I know this is polarizing because when I brought it up when we were talking about bad movies and went, oh, I can't wait to talk about great ones. I loved this movie so much. I freaking love Night Bitch. I love Night Bitch so much.
Yeah.
That movie is ridiculous. Amy Adams is incredibly feral and wonderful in it. There's one scene that is so disgusting and I wish it wasn't in there, but it's a monster movie. You have to have some transformation sequences. You got to have some things that make you feel uncomfortable. I freaking love this movie. It's on Hulu. It's under an hour 45. Please give it a shot. I think it's so great if you're not going to go see it in theaters.
I was watching with Ann and like not long into she goes, "What is this?" And I'm like, but
It's nuts.
yeah, there's a genius to it.
I
There's
love
a genius to it.
so much. And then an honorable mention because the CGI of it took me out a little bit. But man, War of the Rohirrim, it was so nice to be back in a theater with a new Middle Earth story. At least new to me, right? Something that was just kind of in the index. And the animation style is like how Princess Mononoke felt really innovative at the time with the CGI blending in. And that just is, it felt stuck in that. It took me out of it to see, you know, CGI doors or CGI backgrounds. But the rest of the two-dimensional animation was so stunning. And the voice actress who played the lead woman in it is tremendous. And it's highly, highly worth listening to. There's a couple little bits of extra stuff that could have been taken out just to kind of tie in, like, and remember, Mordor's a thing. That's going to be an issue at some point. That could have been gone. But overall,
did that?
and they said it like that.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
yeah.
Okay.
You know
I
how they talk on Middle Earth.
You guys.
I got some people in live chat asking for some honorable mentions. So let's throw out some honorable mentions.
Sure.
I can.
Oh,
can
no,
get one.
what's up, Ray?
Oh, Twisters.
Twisters was
Twisters
fun.
was fun.
And I love Juror number 2.
Juror number 2 was
okay.
really good.
Transformers 1.
Yep.
And the other one was Memoir of a Snail.
I still have to
yeah.
see that.
Yeah, it was really good.
Okay.
It wasn't going to make my list, but it was really good.
Fun. Okay.
Here's some ones I would throw in there as honorable mentions. Sing Sing. It probably will get nominated for Best Picture. And now I'm freezing on the name of it. Culkin.
A Real Pain is
A
that
Real
what it's called?
Pain.
I'm excited to see
Yep.
that one.
A Real Pain was really good. It didn't quite make my list, but a really good. The Brutalist, which actually is a movie that has a shot to win Best Picture this year. I saw it just recently. And Jonathan Voico's description of it was so accurate to me.
Okay.
Listen, it's brilliantly made. It's absolutely brilliantly made. Could get him Best Actor. It's oppressively long. And you feel, especially after you get in after the intermission, the second part, it just, not only is it oppressively long, it's just so emotionally weighted that like I was kind of, even though it's a brilliantly made movie, I was really looking forward to it being over. Again, brilliant. I still would put it as an honorable mention. I would also include Transformers 1
Right.
as one of my honorable mentions. I thought that movie was just fabulous and great. And again, the one movie that I did not see was A Complete Unknown. I still haven't seen that one. That probably would have been on my list, I guess. People are asking me about what about Nosferatu? I got to tell you guys, every movie, all of us have one where there's a movie out that everybody loves that just didn't hit right with you. Everybody has one of those every year. Nosferatu is that one for me.
So would you consider that your most overrated film of the year?
Yes.
You would.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I would consider. Again, I'm not saying Nosferatu is a bad film. Don't misinterpret me. But for me, it's a very I never once felt it was creepy, although I did love the voice of the Count. I love the voice. It's good. Yeah, she's got. You know what? As I'm watching Nosferatu, all I could see in my head is the ending of Forgetting Sarah Marshall with Jason Segel doing the puppet musical.
Die.
And if I see Van Helsing, I will slay him. That's all I heard in my head. I didn't find it scary at all.
Oh, really? Okay.
Like, I didn't find it. Scenes that felt creepy, yes. Scary, not once.
Okay.
And then there were scenes that were so like, I'm sorry, everybody's raving about certain things. There are certain scenes that are so badly acted and are so corny and so cheesy, and an ending that made no, like, I'm sorry, wait a minute. Let me get this straight. So, your number one most loyal sycophant henchman, your Rensfield, basically, who is so loyal to you, he just happens to keep a fully illustrated book in his cabinet that point by point lays out how to kill the vampire.
Listen,
Just keeps that right in there.
Bruce really loves Clark.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
You gotta know how to take down your buddy in case they go too overpowered. You know what I'm saying?
There was also a movie I wanted to see, but I just haven't. The September 5 movie. September.
Yeah, that's on my list too.
It's very good.
Is
Very
that
good.
streaming or is that in
that.
theaters?
I mean, I got a screener of it, so
Oh, okay.
I don't know where you can get it right now. It's very good. Again, didn't make my list, but it's very, very good. All right. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What are your favorite movies of the year? Again, it doesn't have to be one that everybody else agrees on or that all the critics necessarily love. To you, what was your favorite movie watching experiences this year? Go ahead and jump on down in the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video. Make sure you like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget, we have a daily podcast called the John Campea Show podcast, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcasting app of choice. Go and subscribe to it today so it'll be there when you need it.